Round one. Fight!
Hello and welcome to a looking back at Trotcon 2023. A little while ago, you have some familiar faces here that did the looking back at Trotcon 2022. So if you guys are interested in that, to see how much has either stayed the same or changed, I'll include that video in the description. This is going to be going up on Mares and Stuff, as well as the Pepperoni and Ponies and Pizza channel. So thank you to the Pepperoni Pizzas and channel. So, as I said before, this is your host, Egg Sunny Side Up, and I'm joined with a lot of people here. Some people went to the con, and others, they talked to these people, and other people that went as well. And for myself, I mainly kept up with the threads. So, going up in the list here, I'm joined with Ike.
Hello.
Just say hi. Yeah, thank you. Shade.
Hello.
Zemming.
Howdy.
Howdy. And then anyone else that wants to join in, because we have a couple other people, you're more than welcome to. You can add your 2 cents. Anything really goes. Again, just behave. Last channel got deleted because of negligence. Haha. So, we got a couple questions here, and I'm just going to be asking questions. I want the people that actually went to, give us your 2 cents, your in-depth analysis, as we call it. So, starting from the top here, how is the venue compared to 2022? Ike, you want to shine some light on that?
Sure thing. It was basically the polar opposite. The old Trotcon venue was like very tight. It felt like everybody. It was always crowded. It felt like everyone was there. It's a smallish space, just basically one big hallway with a few branches out, and the whole Kano hotel felt active. This year, it was as spread out as you could possibly be, like both in good ways and bad. Like in the bad ways, they were instead of like tiny like boardrooms in a hotel that were intimate and crowded. They're in these massive as big as BronyCon, like smooth polished concrete floor, 80-foot high ceilings convention center with like sterile blaring lights down all of you. Like the vendors were off in one corner. They originally had them very tightly in one corner of this giant space, and then they spread them out a little bit. But then they also had like autographs and some other stages and stuff inside like this other, like it was like all in one giant room. But they were still 50 feet apart. Hopefully some people post pictures. I have a couple. I didn't take so many. And then like in another giant room, like they had the game room, but it was just like a bunch of tables. But instead of like, they were like all the way in the back. So it looks tiny and insignificant. When you walked all the way over there, you're like, wait, there's like 30 people here. This isn't like less busy than a normal game room is, I guess. But it's just they look like little ants a mile away. So it made it feel so empty. And then the convention space had like 3 floors, but some of the escalators weren't working. There's really only 1 or 2 rooms on the upper floor, so they all felt like dead, very, very empty. And of course, the hotel is a 20-minute like drive from really the convention center. So people might be at the hotel, they're not at the convention center. Like it's kind of hard to go back and forth. So if anybody wants to take a break or go to the hotel for a while, they're there for a long time, which means they're not in the convention space. And Dayton, surprisingly, I know, is actually the area they're at is very walkable. Like you can walk to all the best restaurants and pubs in Dayton, and they're very nice. There's a lot of very nice areas there. So it was very easy for people at the convention to just kind of walk and go check stuff out and look at Dayton. If you go too much farther out, it's not so great, but that area where it was very nice, which, that's good because the old Trotcon venue had nothing, but that also just means that people were out and walking around, and it really felt like the convention center was just like, that was just like one small aspect of the con. And I have to understand I'm biased. I didn't end up spending so much time in the convention center and doing things for the convention. I had a lot of other stuff going on, but it really did feel like that was, rather than Trotcon being like all about the hotel and like so much about Trotcon was because of that hotel, like what they allowed and the space that it provided, the scuffedness, but also the hominess, gone. Giant sterile lights, convention center, way too big for the number of people. People are out in the town. They're going between the hotel and the convention center. Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't ideal. I've heard that it was about the same cost, so probably like objectively in general a nicer facility because it was clean, it was nice. I didn't really hear any complaints about the venue other than just that it was so open and spacious and big and kind of made things feel sterile and small. So I guess that's what I say about the venue.
That's interesting. You know, one, by all means, post whatever pictures you have, because I'll definitely add those pictures in post production. But the other thing that caught my attention, which he said, was that everything's really nice outside, which is a good thing. It is a good thing to finally have, more than just Waffle House and McDonald's and the odd liquor store here and there. But when you have so many distractions outside the con, it kind of feels like, oh, we're just here to hang out when it's, cool to hang out, but we're just going to go to the bars and to the restaurants and whatnot, which kind of the same at BronyCon 2019, but I still feel like the main hub of traffic and involvement was still BronyCon. Like, it wasn't, oh, it's nicer outside, so let's go outside, or, there's more things to do outside, so let's just do outside. But again, by all means, post the pictures, because later on, that is a question. It seemed like the space was a little too big and the numbers just don't match up, but that's for later on. So, yeah. Anything else you want to say real quick before I move on to the next person?
No, nothing other than here. I just posted like this is like the game room.
Oh my god.
But when you like, and that's tabletop and game. But then like, here's a picture I'm uploading now. When you get close, you realize like, oh, there are people here. I guess it just looks so vast and empty because it's way too big of a space for what's going on. But is it like if it was in a smaller room, it would not look unusual. So I guess that really sums it up.
No, I can. This feels like like a giant gym, like just kind of like, oh yeah, we got a little convention at a high school. Here you guys go. Play your board games, haha. Oh my, it is way too empty. I don't feel like it's pony. If you would show me this image, I would think that, oh, it's just a normal like game room for any other convention. So that's my 2 cents on that. Shade.
Yeah, I mean, other than all
sorry.
the pony plushies on the table, I guess. But yeah, like one other thing is like Pixel Ponies, their like game group, like they dissolved and they were not coming back again. And so what they had is just like basically a bunch of monitors and like rented PS5s or whatever with just normal type games and stuff like that on tables. There's nothing really special or unique. Like Trot has always been cool because they've had like fan games like highlighted, whether it was like the Pony Step Mania game, or I remember the first time I ever saw Ponyvania, which is probably the most high quality pony fan game ever made, other than, I mean, maybe Fighting is Magic, which also had tournaments there. But no, it was just all generic stuff. And this is the year that their theme was literally video games, so I kind of an oopsie there.
Yeah, I heard that at least last year, and I'm maybe you can confirm this or not, but there was like one person in charge of a game room, and they had to like keep an eye on these like really expensive Warhammer 40K models, which I play 40K. I know how expensive just a box of Space Marines are. So for a guy to watch like an entire like 2-3 armies, that I would have so much anxiety. So is that true? Did that actually happen? Because I heard. I
don't know about that
year.
specific story, but their game room was very. I mean, as many areas were understaffed because Pixel Ponies lost a lot of people over the pandemic. So, yeah, I mean that doesn't surprise me. That's possible.
Okay. All right then. Well, thank you for your insight. Thank you for your pictures. I'm definitely gonna add those in the post production here. Shade, do you want to like add some insight on this too? Because I know you were there as well. How was the venue? Oh, wow. I
Yeah.
would make a reference, but I know people hate the back rooms here, so we'll just keep it at that. But how do you feel about TrotCon? How was the venue compared to last year?
So here's the interesting thing. So I'm from a perspective here where I didn't start going to trot till after the pandemic. Like my first TrotCon was 21, and in my opinion, the thing I didn't like about the last venue was just how simple it was. It's like I get like a lot of people have like the homeliness to it, but like when I would go through the hotel and stuff, it feel really like not much to explore. There was like a few hallways and stuff, but besides that, it's like, oh, well, that's the place. And like that, besides I guess like the overall age of it, because it also had like the carpeting and like the dimmer lighting and stuff. I wasn't a fan of it. That's why, like in my opinion, I appreciated the con center a little more. Yeah, it was very spacey and stuff. I'm surprised. I thought it would actually like kind of be kind of bigger. Um, but like the space we got, the 3 floors, it wasn't too big in my opinion. In terms of the vendor hall wise, it was very yes, it was very spaced out. I have a picture I can find where even sitting or like being at a vendor table nearby, um, you just see the guests of honor table from far away. So it's like, oh, they're right over there. Um, a plus side to the big vendor thing was, I guess like the space you can move around in. I don't know if you saw, but there was this pinky fursuit pony suitor in a tank over the weekend that was like driving around the place. And luckily, that was a good spot for them to do it. They were just like doing it around the vendor hall. Let's see, I can try to find it somewhere. But
Yeah, that
beside,
was really cool. I didn't see that in person, but I saw pictures. That looked really awesome.
yeah, I have a video of it somewhere. Um, it's weird because again, it's been like since 2019 since I've been to a convention center, so definitely a different vibe. Uh, and this is all preference wise, but in a weird way, with everyone being spaced out, it did hurt. I feel like it did hurt the vendors in terms of like, because everyone's so spaced out, you have to like travel so farther than you do in just a hotel kind of vendor hall. Uh, it was less noisy though, surprisingly, because with everyone spaced out, you just hear kind of the ambient reverberance of people as you're just sitting at your vendor table. So I get like the pros and cons of like that each way. In terms of okay, so verdict with that, I do like the con center itself more than the hotel. Now, in terms of the location wise, it is unfortunate for them to have the hotel be under construction or renovation that was connecting to the con center. That was a big downside because what was really annoying this year was everyone being spaced out in different Airbnbs and hotels. It took away from the room parties and like hanging out because like I don't want to have to drive 5 minutes to and from a place and then have to repay for parking at the parking garage nearby. Luckily, I feel like my place was like we were the closest to the hotel, or I mean the con center, because we were like a 6 minute walk. Um,
Mine was
but
closer.
oh, how close?
Like a 4-minute walk.
Oh, nice. Um, and yeah, so like yeah, we got to walk to our place, but most of our friends were like 5 minute drives away. So, and it's like after we were like, oh, good night, we didn't really see them at all or anything like earlier in the night than you usually would in a hotel. And it kind of like really sucked. It kind of took away the fun that was happening at nights after like most of the panels and concerts were done. Oh, by the way, with the hotel, I even though like the map would say like certain things that were happening, I guess for some reason 90% of the bathrooms were just out of order at that con center. I don't know if you noticed that like at all, but like
Hmm.
at
I
least
don't know
one
if
or
I did.
I think definitely the third floor bathroom that was on the trot map was out of order. So everyone's like, "Oh, the restroom's right here." Nope, it's just a bunch of duct tape and a plastic sheet over it. And that would happen like 3 times at least. So like at least on the third floor restroom, there was one that wasn't listed on the map that I went to, but the other one was like across the hallway. Like you had to go all the way on the other side just to use the restroom there. So it was really annoying, but also kind of funny in a way, just how often that occurred. It's like, let me just use this one. Oh, nope, never mind. Also, I might be crazy, but I feel like the one escalator that went to the first floor that was out of order all weekend was working at a time on like early Thursday.
I thought that I found that very extremely funny for like if you were like a obese person. There's like, oh, they got escalators. I'm gonna like go up the escalator, and then you're trapped on the second floor. You have to go down the stairs to get down the bottom floor.
I was like, what the fuck? Like, that's just so unfortunate. It was such a maze trying to, like, okay, I need to go down this escalator, then this staircase to get to the first floor. I mean, I think I got the hang of it eventually. I don't remember for sure. Let's see. So we got the con center, the space around. But I do agree with you with a big plus side was walkable places. So if you want to eat somewhere, you don't have to drive. You don't need a car. I know personally, I went to Spaghetti Warehouse, I think 3 times that weekend.
Oh, dude, there's Thai 9 was in walking distance.
I did go to Thai 9 one night.
The Olives, which was like a Mediterranean grill. There was like a Mexican street food place in walking distance. There was that Irish pub, which was like, I mean, it may have been like a 8 or 10 minute walk, but that had really great food, and what a selection of beers on draft. Like there was a lot of good places, like the Fifth Street, which is like the like walkable party bar restaurant street in Dayton, was like right there. So there was so many good places to go. But yeah, I mean, haha, Spaghetti Warehouse. Yeah, I heard a lot of people went there.
There were like a lot of big parties. I remember seeing like over 20 people at some points. So I mean, kudos to the Spaghetti Warehouse staff for managing it. I guess one more outside thing that I remember, for those who aren't aware, I guess there's a park almost like right across the street a little bit from the con center, and there's a stage there where like almost like every other night they have a like live performances there from musicians, like local. So it's very interesting where you would hear music just like playing throughout like the street that the con center was on. And I don't know if any like bronies actually went to it, but like it was like, oh, if I'm ever bored with the con center, there's just this concert going on in this park right across the street that a lot of people are sitting at.
Oh yeah, and the canal. I don't know if you ever went to there's like a canal walk park, and then like a kind of a park area by the river. And what I noticed also, there was like on Saturday, like during the day and Friday and Saturday night, it was happening. Like it was downtown Dayton. Like locals were there, like going to places. People were out walking around. Like it felt like you were actually in the happening place in the city.
In our Airbnb, we were like told like, oh, by the way, at Friday and this weekend, the street's going to be closed because that's when people just walk on the street to different places. And we're like, oh. So yeah, there were just people like walking all over the place, like because the street was closed.
Yeah, same. I mean, I was in Waffles, like Townhouse or whatever. Which what was that?
So you were in Waffles thing?
Yeah.
That's why it was 6 minutes. We were right across the street from you.
Yeah. I guess I did. I mean, I was undercutting you for humor's sake, but yeah, it was about that. Depends how fast you walk. Like, yeah, wow, yeah. Right across the street. Yeah.
I was gonna say like the only way you're closer if you were in one of those houses right across the street from me. But yeah,
That's good though. It sounds like what's it called? It sounds like the actual venue itself is a massive improvement. It's just that, as Shade said, the fact of the matter is you can't even do much in the room parties and the hotel parties when everyone else like stood up in different. Like, I mean, that's what I'm getting. If there's anything different, by all means, tell me.
Yeah, let me say, like, qualify that, like, yes, by every, like, normal person objective metric, it might seem like the venue's better. It's cleaner, it's bigger, it's a more walkable area. But, like, all of the scuffed natures of Trotcon, like, actually, I think helped it have a unique identity, because
Hmm.
what was something about this venue, like they had served food there. It was more expensive than the Trotcon Hotel, and they were very specific about vendors not. They were patrolling vendors on bringing food into the vendor hall that wasn't like from the con center. So that, I mean, of course they snuck it in, but it was a little bit harder, and like that kind of they were very strict about drinking panels. Darkly herself mentioned to like Zan, who's somebody in the thread at a sponsor like meet and greet, that she was like wished that they could have had more panels that allow drinking and alcohol and partying, like, but the con center doesn't allow that because like it's like a legitimate venue. And so these things are nice on the surface, but and maybe it would have been different if the hotel was open. Like they could have like done more of a room party hallway or whatever. But the fact of the matter is, this year, like all these nice things ended up kind of like eating at con culture. Particularly Trotcon's con culture, which, I mean, I don't know if
Yeah.
that has existed after last year anyway, but when I think of the best Trotcons, like it doesn't even seem possible in this venue. But just the flip side.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Does anyone else want to chime in at all? You're free to do so, even if you didn't go to the con.
I find it ironic that the actual location and venue, it has all these different activities and locals and breweries and everything like that. That was better than the actual convention itself. Everything around the convention was more interesting than, the whole point that you traveled out and drive into what, Dayton, Ohio?
Yeah. Side to it with the venue that I forgot to mention. At least, well, this is more of a, I guess, a Trotcon staff thing with it. At least they did give like musicians a room to store our stuff in. I only imagine the hell that would have been if we didn't have a place to store the equipment. So you'd have to like bring it there every time you need it. So it was just like a second floor like boardroom that like we could just store our stuff in, and like we could practice in it when we needed to. And it was just like it was a nice touch that would have been a lot harder if we didn't have that.
That's good. So at least they cared a little bit more than they did last time, from what it sounds like.
I don't know if care. I guess like more just like it's a different space, so it's like it's hard to
See.
compare that because like if we were still in the hotel, it'd be a different story because we all have rooms.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't really say a compare of like how much they care or not compared to what we had last year. It was a different space, different resources.
Okay. That's fair enough then. I was gonna ask, is this particular like city town, is it more like a college town? Is that why there's so much stuff there? Because I'm unfamiliar with Dayton, Ohio. Is there like a university nearby or something like that?
I
No,
don't know how. I don't think in where we were. Dayton
Okay.
has thing. Oh wait, hold on.
The difference between being like in a hotel near the airport versus like a a convention center in the center of the city, even though it's a smaller
Yeah.
city, like you could
Okay.
walk to the happening. A lot of Midwestern Rust Belt towns have like one or two streets that are like localities of central places of activity, and we were just there.
Okay.
Columbus is the college town, but we were
Yeah.
the old Trotcon is in a hotel by the airport. It's not in the nice area, so
I see. Okay. All right. That's more than fair then. Okay. Well, it doesn't seem like anyone else wants to chime in, so I guess we can start moving on to the other stuff. But we are adding a lot more answers and questions, so I appreciate that. I think the biggest one here, and I know you have something to say about this, Ike. Second question here: was the staff interactions more professional slash neutral compared to 2022? And I think you have a story for us, Ike. So the floor is yours.
I do. I mean, I'll start off by saying what I heard from other people because I've talked to like vendors and other groups, and I didn't hear great things. Like a little bit of there's the incompetence of like messages coming out very late to vendors about where to be, and not a lot of great messaging, and the staff not feeling either overworked or at worst icy. So not a whole lot of horrible experiences, but I never really heard anything good about Trot staff, which is unusual because they're usually, at least back in the day, they were the staff that you hear the most nice things about. And in general, my impressions of the staff, and once again, I probably spent, I don't know, like 7 hours in total combined at the convention center. Like, not a lot, but my impression was like people, I mean, congoers too, but staff especially, kind of like that you're going through the motions. This was like you'd see it use a Trotcon theme, like a carnival that's like past its prime, and everyone's kind of like dead-eyed, real dead mall vibes. Like everyone's just kind of there, going through the motions, kind of like, oh, we're here to do the thing. And I mean, of course, the story you're referring to culminates in my ejection from the convention center for just just literally because I was standing there menacingly. I'm sure everyone knows about, I'll just give a brief background, or that like last year, I kind of like ran afoul of the Trotcon staff because I don't know, like we're trying to do the things that we had done literally every year ever, and it's not like I didn't warn. Like I tried to ask Trotcon, like, was there some compromise we could reach, and is there something we can do to have like, I don't know, like drink and have a party in the con center like we used to? Like maybe can we do it in the parking lot or do something else? And all I heard was, oh, the 4chan hates me because I'm gay, and there's like threats, and it's dangerous, so like you have to wear your mask, no parties or whatever. And I mean, did we get kind of a little antagonistic in that we like tried to, like, we hosted a party in the con space Friday night and it went fine and no one noticed, and then we kind of maybe accidentally were too loud the second night and they kind of found us and then pulled our badges, and this led to like a lot of eye rolly and kind of like tense conversations. And I don't know, like they said originally that we could have our badges back, but then they tried to take them Sunday and we left. It was kind of like we weren't sure if we were banned or not. It was a whatever situation. I kind of got over it, and I came to Trotcon for other reasons that I had to go there. A multitude of them stacked up, and none of them were because I was eager to go to the convention. But I ended up there anyway, and I wasn't trying. I made a promise not to make a scene or cause any trouble. I didn't even plan to start a party. I brought just like the leftovers that were donated from Windy City that I was trying to get rid of, and I dumped them in the kitchen of, like I was in Waffles' mansion, whatever he called it, a mansion. It was like a big townhouse. There's like a lot of vendors there. There was like 15, 16 people, to the point where we really probably had more than was legally allowed to be there. And after Lunar came, I had to sleep on an air mattress because there's no more couches. But I just like I didn't do like a big party or whatever. I was really keeping my nose clean, literally not doing anything. I guess I didn't actually apply for a badge with my name. I got a vendor helper badge, so it just had, I don't know, a mystery. I don't know what the official name was on that, but yeah, and I just didn't really interact with Trust staff too much. I just said hi to people. A lot of great little moments at the charity auction. I auctioned off a piece of art from the DC Bronies, which is a group that I worked and interned in DC for a while, and I kind of ran with them, and I'm still very close friends with some of the people who used to be in that group. And so that was like a really cool piece of history, and I was going to spend $200 on it, but I was the guy who did, and I was chatting with him, like he's like, oh yeah, I bought it because it's cool. Do you know the lore behind all these little OCs? And I was telling him, oh, this is this person. I used to know them from this and that, and let me get my contact info for them here. And that kind of thing. I met up with Zan, he's that guy that was like, I finally came to the first PonyCon ever in 2023 Trotcon. Like, what the fuck? And then he was a Drax sponsor, the biggest sponsor, like $2,800. And he's like, well, half of the things are not ready yet. Like, shirts aren't even gone to print. I have a 2022 shirt that I got an email from Darkly at the day of the con starting saying that, like, you can maybe come pick them up now, or if not, we'll mail them to you, like for the shirts from last year. And so he's like real bummed, and we like met up with him, and we like shared. Waffles had ordered a special custom Trotcon beer with a cool Trotcon label, and we invited him to hang out with the MayFair guys, and it was real great. A lot of great experiences. It was fine. I was in and out of the convention center like 5 or 6 times easily, and then Zan actually told me like, hey, I was talking to Darkly and at the sponsor meet and greet, and she was talking about like how we wish we could have more of the party and drinking panels, like swag with horn riff ponies and all that kind of stuff, and they can't do it this year, and they're thinking of alternatives or whatever. And I was like, oh wow, like maybe again, I don't have hate in my heart for anyone, like maybe there's some of this idea that there was an overreaction last year, and I'm like, yeah, whatever, we'll see what happens. I wasn't like looking for them in particular. I was visiting some vendor friends in the vendor hall, and on Sunday morning, and Darkly walks on. I think Darkly was like, she has really like slowly become more and more like when she has like a cane and then a walker and then a wheelchair, and like now she was spending not much time at the convention, and I don't know if that's truly because of all the stress of trying to do everything herself or not. I feel bad for her. She really needs to delegate all that and kind of stuff. But I did see her there Sunday, and I was walking over to my vendor friends, and I just kind of waved and said, "Oh, hey, Darkly, what's going on?" She knows exactly who I am. And we have to understand that, yes, things were dramatic last year, but she's always had a very cordial relationship. I've shared many drinks with her. She's talked to me about the troubles with her marriage and divorce, and we polished up a whole bottle of 99 bananas together. I have no ill will. But she seemed like terrified of me, and then like, oh, I'm tired, and then like kind of ran away. And then I went to sat down to talk to my vendor friends, and then within 5 minutes, a staffer comes by to me and says, "Hey, can I see your badge?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I'm like, "Okay, I know exactly what's happened." Darkly immediately went to ops and sounded all of the alarms that were about to like cause trouble. And so I handed my badge. It's a legit badge. I'm pretty sure it's 80% legit. It's from like a vendor. I'm like a vendor helper. Like I didn't do anything. I usually was a huge sponsor of Trotcon, not this year. Anyway, she's like, "Oh, I guess so this is your badge, huh?" And I'm like, "Yep." Any problem? He's like, "No, I guess." Okay, so it doesn't have your real your name on it? Like, I guess not, or whatever. And he left. And he seemed really like, sorry, the higher ups have asked me to come. And I'm like, yeah, it's cool. I kind of get what's happening. I mean, if he never told me to leave, he said they want you, I would have left. I'm not here to I promise I wasn't here to cause problems. So then at 5 minutes pass, I'm sitting here talking with people, and then all of a sudden five plus like convention center security. So these are like adults in their 30s and 40s with like white uniforms and slacks and weapons come up to me like, "Sir, we need to you need to leave the facility." And oh, sure, all right, and whatever. And I walk out and I'm like, "Well, we're gonna need your badge." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, of course," or whatever. And so they all walk me as I just walk out of the convention center, and of whatever, it's no skin off my bones. It's Sunday morning, like the con's already over. But then I start hearing from some of the vendors like, "What? Did you just get escorted out? Like, there's they have a guard like checking people in the like coming into the vendor hall, and there's like someone standing, several people standing outside the entrance of the convention center, and they're like asking around. It's like they're looking for someone." I was like, "Oh, are they looking for Zemming? Are they looking for me trying to sneak back in?" And I was really concerned that they were about to go around to all the because I got in through a vendor badge. I thought they were going to go harass all the vendors and look for trying to ask them who are all your helpers, like give me the real names. Like I thought they were about to do that, but of course Trotcon's not like that seriously competent, so it fizzled out and nothing ended up coming of it. But I definitely did get trespassed out of Trotcon for waving at Darkly. Now later I did hear I had some people go and talk to her and be like, what are you doing? Like, why did you do that? What was your problem? And she explained that he, as in me, knew that he was banned and he wasn't supposed to be here. So I think it was interpreted as some sort of like power move for me to like say hi. And I mean, I guess I kind of, I was probably more confident because I heard I thought she like was less crazy or something. I don't know. But yeah, it is very funny for me to imagine like me on the way to go see my friend and go sit down at their booth, and then like Darkly is like running back to ops like, holy shit, code red, like summon everyone. We have to watch out. We're about to get infiltrated. There's gonna be a wild, I don't know what, like party attack on Sunday morning. like the con's already over. So it ended up being just a funny incident of like an extreme overreaction on like the day the con is over. So, but I was literally just standing there, bro. I don't know what her problem was. Whatever. Okay. Done.
Nah, that
Oh.
sounds pretty fucking rough. I mean, I have the fortunate experience of never being asked to leave from an establishment. I've always been a little good boy scout, but to have like actual security with weapons, I'm not gonna hide it and say like I'll always be like a little bit like okay, let's not cause a scene here because you never know, Um, yeah, it's pretty fucked. I heard the story from another person. I just wanted to get it from you, but that's all because you waved at somebody and I don't know. I mean, kind of going back to what you said earlier about the whole like threats and all that stuff. Like I was on the thread and I didn't see anything. Like I saw like maybe one stupid post about like, oh, if you don't do this, I'm gonna release information, and of course that's a nothing burger. Nothing happened, but even on the board, like nobody said anything. So I don't know where they're getting all this like paranoia from, especially from somebody like you said, you knew this individual, you talked about things and this and that. So yeah, I mean I can only speculate and think that this person is really lending their ear to the wrong people and they're having their perspective skewed, but that's just me, like truly outside looking in.
I just think it's wild. Like if she had asked me, like, you're not supposed to be here, leave, and I would have said yes. But no, it was like, oh, I'm tired, and then ran away, like too afraid to confront me. And then the staff she sent never said, okay, cool, like I know you're badge mate technically, but like you're really like you are not supposed to be here and you should know that. Please leave. I would have left. But no one said that. He just escalated right to calling the convention staff like what well, I'm not a terrorist. Like they
Ooh.
could have just tried to be honest with me. I don't understand. It's just weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a good feeling to be. Again, I've never personally gone through that experience. I know of people that have, but you're always gonna feel a little weirded out when you have like how many people asked you to leave? Was it 4 security guards? It was a group, obviously. It wasn't just one guy.
Yeah, it was like 4 or 5. I guess I didn't, and it was funny, like, because I outpaced him. Like, I was walking away because they asked me to leave. I'm like, I don't worry, guys. I get it. I get it. I did. This is the first time I've been asked to leave, so bye. And he had to like, sir, I need your badge too. I'm like, of course, right? I had to
Yeah.
turn around to get it. It's not. But it was just a lot of like wild paranoia. I don't understand why it had to happen. Unnecessary drama.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry that happened to you. I really
Hey,
am.
man, no skin off my bones. It's Sunday. I was just afraid that when I heard all these stories, like, oh no, they're gonna shake down all the vendors. Like, I just caused everybody trouble, which I didn't want. Like,
Yeah.
I just think of all the people I know who do like mild vandalism and nefarious activity during conventions, who sneak in without paying, and like I did none of that. I'm focused on because they know who I am, and I'm not trying to hide. Like I know them. Like I'm not trying to hide. So yeah, I don't know. It's just funny to me that all the ire is focused on the person who is not actually willing to do damage to the convention.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, I know it's no skin off your bones, but it's just never a good feeling to be asked by fucking security, like, you need to go. And then you get walked out, and then everyone just kind of was like, I'm sure everyone was looking at you, and it's just like, ugh. But
Yeah, let's just say that Zemming, I'll tell you later if you want, but you have no idea how funny of a situation it was for me to get escorted out at that very moment.
that's a that's one of those conversations that are gonna be off the record. Nice. All right. Well, thank you for telling your story, and thank you for giving us that insight. Is there anything else you want to add to that, or can I move on to Shade?
Oh no, go ahead. I really
Okay.
I don't have anything negative to say about their staff. I just feel bad. It just sucks.
Was it like the same type of like atmosphere though, like where people still kind of tense from last year? Because I know the mask thing was still a thing, and even living in California, no one even like enforces that even here, unless you go to like a clinic or a hospital. But even then, they're still kind of lax on it. So, was that still like the whole mass brigade squad there, like hall monitors? Was that still a thing, or you didn't really?
Most people wear their masks, but like the hall monitor types are all gone. Like Baja's and Darkly were like hypochondriacs, like holed up in the hotel. Fiora's not there. Like you have people like Inky and every other random like Ohio Brony meetup group staff. They don't really care that much about masks. I mean, I don't care that much about masks. I don't like them, but I guess I didn't bother that. But yeah, the like I didn't even see like patroller and other security staff like going around task mastering everyone. Eh,
Okay.
it is wild that they are the only convention that they have the most strict mask enforcement of any convention, which is funny to me. It's Trot that does that now.
I mean, I always say the same thing. If you want to go to a convention and think that it's going to be a clean environment and this and that, it's really not. It's probably one of the most dirtiest places you're gonna go to. You're gonna interact with people that aren't gonna shower for 3 days, aren't gonna brush your teeth for 3 days. You're gonna interact with people that are just sweating profusely. There are other things I would say also too, again, keeping it PG-13, that are going to be vastly more gross and disgusting that you might interact with, not, you personally, but just being in the same vicinity in or even around, that I think is a lot more scary and dangerous than the funny cough. So, yeah. But Shade, you mind giving us shine a little light on this, on your own interactions, if you had any with staff? Because I know you were, musician, so I'm sure you had more interaction than the layperson here or anyone
Not
else.
funny enough. I think you had even less interaction because it's like there's hardly any, like Ike said, there's hardly any like staff policing masks. First of all, we'll go to that.
Okay.
And it's a funny thing because, like, the only, like you said, the only other con that really required masks was Sequestria Fest, and the same thing happened with Sequestria Fest, where like after like the first day or first half of the day, no one was policing it. So, like in vendor hall, most of us in our like area weren't wearing masks anymore. After a while, we're like, oh, the only time I like put on my mask if I see Darkly like coming, I'm like, oh, okay, well, let me put it on. To the point where even like just Sunday I was just walking around the con center, like the main part we're seeing in the pictures here. I was just walking around without a mask, just everywhere, and no one stopped me. No one did anything. And it's like, oh, yeah. Especially the concert as well. The concert, like people, take off their masks as the night goes on because it's like it gets sweaty, gets hot. So yeah, in terms of the mask thing, it's just like, yeah, we require it and then we don't police it. So it's like, okay, okay. When you mentioned the alcohol thing earlier in like the previous question, it's kind of funny that, I mean, like with us, we just snuck alcohol in. So like all these things that like people were having problems with, I guess like we just got lucky in terms of like we just did not get caught, I guess. So it's kind of fine there. My main thing with like con staff has always been the miscommunications that have been happening, because like everything's always just like very poorly run in a way. I I think day 0 even, I was just joking. I'm like, okay, drinking game. I'm gonna take a shot every time there's a miscommunication this weekend. I mean, luckily I did not, because I would have probably died. I think the main one, because it started with, we needed into the equipment room, but it was locked. So we're like, bruh, it was kind of eating into our time for like sound check and or practice. And we had to like get someone. I think like they were eventually like a con staff or someone like unlock the door. But that happened a few times over the weekend. And, you know, like in true trot fashion, well, most cons, but like in true trot fashion, opening ceremonies started like over a half hour late, about, which like, geez, that, and then like again, that eats in the time for events and stuff right after as well. It happened last year with trot as well. But yeah, in terms of like one-on-one con staff interaction, I didn't see much of that with me, because again, I didn't see much staff. But in terms of just like behind the scenes, or like just how things were run wise, it's just always very shoddy and just miscommunicated, which is annoying.
So I'm just gonna ask, was it because you said there was not a lot of interaction? Don't you want interaction? Because you just said a particular, you know, situation right there. Like you need to get your instruments. You need to have that time, you know, and all of a sudden you can't
Yeah.
find somebody. So it's the situation is foobar. It could be foobar if like no one shows up and you're late to a set, or you know, yeah. So it's like that's not good.
Yeah, it was annoying.
Uh-huh.
And like, yeah, it's like an annoying. And you say with the masking as well, you know, like, you know, no one wants to wear a mask or something. But it's kind of an example of like, if I need a con staff person, there's no one walking around. I have to like find where they are or something, or like seek one out if I need help with something. Luckily, I was like, people that were on staff were like, the people that were on staff were with us but didn't have access to the room, so we like need to contact someone with a key to the room. And you know, we don't get a response for like many minutes, so we're just sitting there on the floor waiting.
Sounds wonderful. Sounds beautiful. I love to have staff like that. I really hope MayFair is taking note to not fucking do that. At least have one person just present there, especially when it comes to performers and whatnot. Anything else you want to add to that before I open the floor up to anyone else who wants to give their 2 cents?
Let me see. Give me one sec. There is one thing I do want to talk about. I don't know when the right time for it is, but I do want to talk about kind of a little bit with the scheduling, or like with the daytime concert idea.
I mean, you can go ahead because we've kind of dived into the third question, which was basically what was your experience like, and you know what was the things you were interested in doing. So by all means, go ahead if you want to start on that.
Yeah.
I
So
think yeah, or real quick, and I think after that, maybe that's everything else afterwards is something that everyone can throw in their own little opinion. So this might be like the last thing for you two that were specifically there. So yeah, go ahead and talk about your day concert and whatnot.
yeah. So funny thing. I think Ike or someone mentioned earlier about like, you know, being like, for me, I didn't want to go. I said the only reason I would go is if like I'm performing or like have an obligation. Because even though it's like my, you know, home con, quote unquote, it's like I'm not crazy about going. Why would I? If I didn't have any obligation, I wouldn't feel like going at all. Um, so I posted the schedule, and first of all, one thing, the vendor hours were really weird, because if you look for most of the days, it's 10:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then there's an hour lunch, and then it's only 3 to 6. You know, there's like the AD vendor hall, But like for just a regular vendor hall kind of thing, it was just very weird, and it didn't seem like a lot of time in the grand scheme. I mean, yeah, I guess like the hour lunch, whatever, is fine. But I didn't have any time to really bend that much because it was just a short time frame that we could. But if you notice here on the schedule, one of the things they did, Trotcon in previous like years, their concerts went till like well after 3 a.m. It started pretty late, so like that's where all of the music happened. But because we're in a con center now, they couldn't stay up that late with the event. So I guess what the music people got Darkly to do was give the daytime concert, or like time in the day for the concert. So the concert during the day ran from like around 2 p.m. to like 5. Then there would be like a few hours break before like another sound check, then the night concert. And I have very mixed feelings about it. On a schedule kind of sense, it is like paired up with a bunch of panels. I mean, so is a night concert, but it is kind of annoying where some people who had day panel obligations could not see like sets they wanted to, or they had to like do something else, so they have to choose between that and the set. A friend of mine brought up that when you're done with the daytime concert, it's like, oh man, I just like jumped around, I partied hard to like these sets here. Oh boy, got to get ready for the night concert now. So like you're already exhausted for that. So it's just like longer time of like getting all your energy out and then having to space that out between all the acts. Okay, so the main gripe I have with the daytime concert was the setup. I'm going to post a picture here in a sec. Where is it? Oh yeah. Well, first of all, here is a picture of the other panel rooms. This is not the daytime concert panel rooms. But here, it's a pretty nice room. Got the TVs, got like kind of a high ceiling. It's pretty roomy, but like not too roomy. Where? Here is a picture of what the nighttime concert looks like, or the daytime concert. So this is a picture of facing out from the stage. It was a longer room, but it's like we had carpeting floor. Kind of like all these tables set up. Where? I just had the picture here. It's gonna drive me crazy. Oh, there it is. So when I walked into the daytime concert room on like day 0, this is what the stage looks like. Things were rearranged, but if you can see, like, so it's a very tiny stage, very raised tiny stage. There's no monitor for like that faces like the person, so you can hear what you're singing or playing. The lights were fine. They could do what they wanted with them. It's not shown, but on the right side there was kind of just a mixer and nothing else. And when it was time for the daytime concert for sound check, there was no staff, like no anyone there to like, I guess, have us set up or help us. So we, like the musicians or like other people that were there, had to kind of do it ourselves. Which, we managed to do it, but it's kind of just like kind of scummy in a way of just like, okay, no, we had to do all this ourselves. At a point, we didn't even know how like the lights kind of like operated. Luckily, one of the AV people like stepped in, like walked into the room and like helped us with that quickly. But besides that, we had one of our other like musicians who wasn't even on Trot staff running the mixer for the other sets. So it's kind of just like a volunteer and a spontaneous volunteer thing. If I could find For me, I was put on the daytime concert, and I kind of found it annoying where I was the only one that usually uses visuals, but I didn't get to have access to what the main stage nighttime concert people get because I'm on day stage here. And if you see by the picture, there's no like screen or anything there. So I was like, well, doesn't seem fair. So screw it. I ended up buying my own projector and just projecting my own visuals onto the right side there. It was a very scuffed setup, but I managed to make it work out. Where it still kind of annoyed me where I shouldn't have to do this. This seems just very unfair and scuffed. Luckily, in terms of like the Trotcon concerts, it's been a decent size. I mean, there was a lot more people at Trot last year, so I mean, more people at the concert there. But this year, less people, so it's kind of a less people at the concert. Decent crowd, but I was surprised, at least looking at the concert I had from the audience I had from my set was kind of like on par for like what some of the nighttime sets had. So like, okay, at least there was that. I did have one more picture I'm trying to find. Oh, here. So I'll post a picture here of what my setup looked like. Had the projector, we pulled up a table, had the projector facing the screen that had the laptop and a thing to keep the wire down. And then to the left there is like the outlet with the mixer and such. The daytime concert, I personally am not a fan of it compared to like how the nighttime concerts just like went through into the late night. I know they can't do much about it, but I would be like, okay. I just feel like the daytime concert should get more attention from AV, not just the people, but like AV. And basically, I could describe it as just a glorified Renegade stage. It kind of felt like just put on the schedule. I'll post it. This is a side view of like when the concert was actually going on. Yeah, that's my opinion on like the daytime concert setup, how that went.
Okay, I'm gonna go and be the first one to say this. This looks sad. And I completely agree with you. Like, one of the biggest things, at least for this particular like fandom, is the music. You have dozens of people going to these concerts to listen to their friends play, dance to the music, do some mosh pitting or whatever, and they couldn't even turn off the lights all the way. This looks like a middle school dance. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. So the first time, so the lights there, there was no AV to help us, so we like just kind of determined ourselves how many lights would be off. So we were just like trying to make our own judgments. Like, okay, we'll turn off all the lights here. I don't know how many people would like want the backlights to be on, because like even at the concert, the main concert, at some cons they have like lights way in the back on, but like nothing up front. So we kind of just used the discretion of like, okay, we'll turn off these lights, but we'll leave that one on. I mean, then by the second day, apparently it was like, why aren't more lights off? This is what Raven such. And like, well, no one told us any direction-wise. So by the second concert, those lights were off. But this is like what it looked like on the first day concert.
I'm sorry. I just feel like sadness. Again, this brings back memories of like middle school dances or like just parents. Have the lights on a little.
It was annoying. I mean, luckily, like, made the best of it. But yeah, definitely was not a huge fan of what we were given.
Yeah, it sucks. Again, you think that like this is the biggest thing that people go to these cons for, and
I wouldn't say that per se. Not for Trotcon.
I mean, for me, at least for a lot of people that I know, again, we have similar friend circles here. music is one of the bigger things why they go to the convention, not just to meet up with friends or buy some art or some plushes, but that's like one of the big things to do. It's like, hey, let's go get a group together, go dance to some music or something. So that's why to me it just looks sad. And why are there so many tables for this concert? I understand normal concerts you have a couple of chairs here and there, but this looks more like a panel, just straight up panel.
Because it literally is just like a panel room basically that was dedicated for the concert. So we had to like
move everything.
We literally did most things ourselves. We moved the tables, we set up, the AV there.
Okay.
All of this was kind of just makeshift.
Yeah. I understand the frustration then, because you guys are just supposed to be there, more or less to perform, not to, set up your own AV, sound checking, like everything, having to help each other out, this and that. So it just, it doesn't sound like a good experience for the musicians. I can only imagine how it was for like other panelists having to, put their stuff together, because there's a lot of panels here. I can tell there's a lot of panels, and once again, a lot of.
Well, a lot of the panel. If you look like on the schedule, let's see.
Mm-hmm.
So the sound check room, or like the room that the concert was in, the only other things that happened, pony show trivia and sponsor events. So everything else, like panel 1 and 2, happened in kind of a room that I posted before, like right under the schedule. So like the room with like the 2 screens and the bigger roof.
Okay. I'm just. Wow. Okay.
Should probably find a picture of main events. Main events.
Please do so.
The main events room was pretty much just the same size as the tent where the main events happened last year. It's kind of funny.
Wow.
No, it actually was about the exact same size.
Yeah.
Carpet.
Wonderful. It's like the exact same size, just warmer.
Okay. Well, while you're finding that photo, I think we can dip into these questions that everyone might have a say for. So, based off of your experience as well, and from the pictures we all saw, and as well as just from talking to other people, do you guys really think that the head count is accurate? What was it, 800? Was it 800? Yeah, 800 plus.
At Tilda.
Yeah, I think there's more people and that are. Sorry, I just scrambled my words there. But 800 plus attendees. Do any of you believe that? Any of you at all? And like anyone can answer this question.
It's kind of what I was estimating, honestly.
I see.
I think
okay, go
800 paying attendees might be a little high.
Yeah.
But I think I was thinking about 750 or so was my guess.
You're being generous.
I don't know. There's, again, as I mentioned, the con space was very spread out. It looked dead and empty, but there certainly could have been people. There were plenty. The main hall was full during the charity auction, especially during the Traveling Pony Museum charity auction, which is, I guess, something else to mention. Recap that, Traveling Pony Museum, and despite all the what you want to say about all the drama involved and how they've treated this and that artist around it, was something cool that existed in the fandom, and it was liquidated, and not in a way where a lot of the pieces had some of their lore recorded. Now, they did reach out to artists and say, do you want your pieces back? But
did they though?
I guess that's somewhat secondhand. Feel free, anyone who knows different.
Allegedly they did, but I can anecdotally at least say one artist whom I spoke with asked about it and was like, wait, they never reached out to me and I had stuff with them. So I feel like they probably made an attempt, but there's no way they got 100% of the artists.
Yeah. I don't know. There was never a situation where it dissolving ends up in 100% all everyone's okay with it and it's good and happy vibes all around. But that did happen and that made a fair amount of money and that room was full when that was happening because I was there for that. So that was like the most full any room ever felt at Trotcon was that charity auction. So yeah.
That does say something though, as far as attendance last year versus this year, because last year, um, according to the numbers I saw, right, the main events this year seated less people than main events at like 50 less people than main events last year. But last year they had overflow. Like they had a whole nother room with like a bunch of
Yeah.
people in for overflow for a opening ceremony. So there was quite a few number of people.
It was standing room only, but there was no overflow.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we're looking at like by their own admission, that's an attendance drop of like 40%.
Yeah. That's true.
So it's like serious. Now, people had bought their tickets for 2022, like at BronyCon 2019. There was so much hype around it. Nobody had like there was no real signs of the 2021 December one, like how different and bad it was going to be. So like I think they maybe a little bit of a downshift in attendance is not crazy, but it still was pretty substantial. I honestly thought it might be a little bit worse just given how crazy that venue was, but I think there were still people. I talked to a lot of the vendors. Not every vendor did great, but I know a lot of them who said they did fine. I know a lot of them who said that they didn't do Trotcon fine, like they used to make a ton of money at Trotcon and they just did well. But there was enough people to support the convention, I guess. But I think there's concerns that if, if they have any more decline, and I don't think there were many people coming away saying like, this is a blast, I can't wait for next year. And so, I don't know. I, like Corp said, 800 plus, 801. I mean, maybe if you start counting like staff and, vendors and musicians and other people, but
there were rumors, right, in the couple days between the end of the convention or that Sunday and when they announced the numbers. There were rumors of people saying they were asking Trot staff what the final numbers were, and they were being told they were trying to figure out how many people attended by just walking in and including them as attendees. I don't know if there's any truth to that. I don't know why multiple people though were saying that. I don't know if they were just spreading lies or not. But does
I
that
will
sound
say,
reasonable, like something they would do, or?
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of ways you could, cook the numbers, but I will say that I had 3 separate people come to me and say like, yeah, I only bought a Friday badge and, I just kind of covered up the day or whatever. So it's like half the cost. And then I still came Saturday because there was so much stuff to do outside the convention and the enforcement was so lax, and they weren't like, nobody was really that eager to support the convention. And then every time I bumped into a sponsor, like I'm 3 Drac sponsors, their biggest sponsors, all told me like they were disappointed. So like all the sponsors said they were disappointed. A lot of the people were telling me they were trying to sneak in and pay less for the badges because they didn't care about Trotcon. I mean, I myself, an example, I used to always heavily support and sponsor Trotcon, and this year I got a cheaper than normal badge by getting a vendor assistant badge. So like, it's not the what Trotcon did the Capital campaign drive, and they got tons of money, unlike Babs, because they have so much like political capital. People loved them and like wanted them to succeed. I think all of that morale is gone, and it's not looking good. Is what I'd say. So I don't. I think there were people that came, and the vendors and musicians seem to, do. I heard only decent things. Like no one had too many complaints, but no one was stoked on the con. Like even though they had a good time in general, I think if I could really sum up Trotcon this year, it was like the most fun I've ever had at a con, like outside of the con itself.
Funny thing, I rank my convention experiences ever since the first one I went to. And when people ask how my trial went, I was like, oh, this is my favorite trial I've been to yet. Still in the lower half of everything overall, but, out of the 3 I've been to, the con center, yeah. It's like not a high bar for me.
Yeah, because I would say just be like the vendors. Okay, did they do well in the sense that they made a profit, or did they do well in the sense that they didn't lose money, or they just broke even?
Yeah, profit. I mean, I didn't
Profit,
talk
yeah.
to every single vendor, but
Yeah.
many of the ones I talked to came away like, yeah, I sold out almost of all my stuff, and I came away
Yeah.
with 8 or 9,000, and
Okay,
or some of them
okay.
like 2 or 3,000, and in profit, like for the whole convention itself, as a seeing that their travel expenses as a business expense, like, yeah, they did fine, and part of that is that Trotcon is the most East Coast con, so like if you compare it to even like Harmony and especially the Babs and Everfree, where it's like far away, or like Cider and Winnie, which are kind of like it is kind of its own area, so that it's very, there's a lot of people who haven't bought the stuff already, right? So there's still like a fresh audience. So people always do well at Trot, I think, especially now that BronyCon is like, and the East Coast cons are gone. But yeah, like the danger here is that the morale is gone, the vibe is gone. Like, is this, if it declines again by even as close to as much, like it's not going to be able to support itself.
Yeah, it's Jover. I mean, for me, just off of what I heard and just the pictures that I saw, I would say that there was probably only 600 plus. Just kind of guesstimating. Because I think 700 is being even generous and 800 is being really, really generous. It did not seem like there was less than 1,000 people there. And it doesn't help that since everything looks so spaced out, it makes it look like there's even less people. Because you show pictures of this, which, like I said when we first started, I'm reporting on this stuff. I want to give people, just our experiences, and of course anyone else wants to comment or anything on the channel. If you want to even come in here later on and talk about your own experience, and by all means go ahead. But I just want people to know what TrotCon has turned into. It went from the fun potty, it went from the fun party. Shut up. It went from the fun party con, by con goers, as you said, to whatever this is. Which the thread, at least from a lot of people's exits, and let me just pull that up real quick, because there is still, the thread is still there. It's just archived. I'll read maybe 2 or 3. Don't want to take up too much of that time. Let's see. The overall experience, as you guys were saying, it wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was okay. Some people are saying they're gonna go to the Harmony Con's now gonna be their home con. Other people are saying go to MayFair. Another person's, I had enough of TrotCon for one lifetime in 2022, so I guess that person didn't go at all. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like, as you guys keep saying, no one's really saying anything good or great. It's just okay. It was okay. Nothing terrible. I mean, the only happening I heard was just you getting escorted out, but not as last year, which was the freaking hall monitors just going crazy and trying to hunt down people that didn't have a mask on. So
Also,
yeah, there was no hate symbol list, and it was in a sense much worse last year. Like this year, I think you're right. There was no major explosion. Trotcon didn't fail to launch. Nothing was delivered. It ended up as some sort of Las Pegasus Unicon event that killed TrotCon. It was a fizzle. It could have been worse, but I guess this was always the most likely outcome.
Yeah, I mean, my main concern is just things that you talked about earlier, about the deliveries that haven't been made yet, like the sponsor stuff from last year still not being a thing. That is bad. And then I had this one person in the thread the whole time being just, I mean, in my opinion, being a little too optimistic. So I don't know if he was there just to have the thread be like, oh, everything's fine, guys, haha, everything's good, because he bought everything. He spent. This is a post, and I'll read the post number here, and of course, as per usual, I'll put the number on the post production. But this is from the user 4010385. This person spent $2,634. And the U's were like, I'm still waiting for my shirt from last year. I'm still waiting from this from last year. Like, why are you giving these people money? That's kind of where I'm coming from because of what I heard last year, and then the year before that with the whole 2019 online con fiasco. I'm still a little upset about that. So
It's funny, like, I don't mean to like shatter the bubble of our secret club, but I literally know that post, who posted it, and everyone who replied to it. So yeah. Did somebody post, do you have the post of the epic's absolute state of, here, I'll get it. The absolute state of the Trotcon highest sponsor tier. Here. This
oh
is the
yeah,
state of Trotcon sponsored. This is like
yeah,
updates only in their box.
yeah. I saw that.
Yes.
I saw that.
I mean, I'm gonna out myself. I'm the person who said I didn't get my shirt from last year. I got the email from Darkly at con. By the way, shirt's not done yet, or come pick them up at con from last year. I still don't have my comic from last year or the 2 unannounced rewards, whatever they were.
Yeah, I mean, just look. I had bought a badge because, again, I think it was 2019. Everyone was hyping it up. We had a big group prepared to go. And then the whole thing about, oh, we're going to shut down, but, like, please, like, if you can, like, let us, keep the badge money and this and that. So I'm like, okay, cool, fine. Take the sponsor badge, which I don't remember the exact number it was, the price-wise, but they kept everything, and I was like, okay, hopefully that helps or whatever. But then all these bad things started happening, and to this day I regret that. Like, I could have used that money for gas or, for things that I needed rather than, I hope this con stays afloat because some of my friends are for sure going to go next year, and, me is an unknown. So that's why, that's where my personal, like, I guess the word for it could be biases comes from, but I'm just not happy on how they're treating their con goers and just the staff, and that's where it's coming from. So
Yeah, I don't feel too bad. Like, I mean, I sponsored. Like, we had no idea how bad it was going to be. I didn't sponsor for the stupid shirt or the comic book that I'll never wear or look at. I sponsored because I love Trotcon, and it was cool and awesome. And I'm sad that it sucks, now. But I don't know. I mean, I don't feel bad because it was so good. I have so many good memories. You know, I'm not sad that it happened. It was great memories. I'm just sad that it's over, and I feel sad that there's no reason for that. So
you, like you said, you know this guy that's posting all this.
I mean, is it wrong to like? I mean, yes, I met him. Like that after that post, he's like asking how much it sucks, and then like I replied to him saying like, "Yo, the MayFair bros are here," and then we hung out with him and stuff.
Okay.
We like found him, and then we invited him over to like the Waffles Mansion. I gave him that Trotcon beer. I posted a picture of one in the thread, and we chatted for a long bit, and I got to know him, and we met up a couple of other times after that. Like, yeah, and like, cause I mean, fucking shit posters, we stick together at cons. Everyone knows that. So, yeah, yes, it is funny. Like, there are only so many people at these cons. I've been to a lot of them. I know a fair amount of them, and it's like people, yeah. I tend to like, you can tell who was just fudding from not at the convention space and who is actually there. And I know it sucks. Phone posting like sucks. Half the hotel IP ranges are banned. So like captchas are not fun. I get it. So not that many people actually post, and yeah. I mean, I know.
I felt kind
anyway.
of bad. There were a few people in the thread who were like, "This is my first ever PonyCon."
Hmm.
That guy was one of them, and he was a drag
I know.
sponsor in his first PonyCon. That's why we're like, holy shit, dude! Please let us come hang out with you.
So that's I guess that's my follow-up question. I mean, you don't have to out the guy or anything, but like, was that optimism like real, or was he just, a show and act to like make it seem like, oh, everything's just a-okay? Because me reading that, I'm like, I'm getting other reports from people that are there, like, Shade giving me some perspective, and I'm just like, are you at the same con, or
Well, I mean, this is the guy that was like, I spent all this money, haha, but I've been kind of disappointed, and then we respond to him saying like, come hang out with us. Like that's that guy, right? Like,
Okay.
I mean, he did trot shield a little bit about like, hey, it's not so bad, but yeah, like. Yeah, and it sounded like he had a bad time up to that point, and he had some good experiences after he met us. I think, we were a good experience, and then he ended up going to some great panels and meeting some people, and he's coming to MayFair, and yeah, nice guy. So like, I don't. I mean, he's just because he's not like harsh on Trotcon, which I mean, I might have been a sponsor and a fad, but whatever. Like it was, again, it's tough to like. Last year there were so many moments of like visceral like my vision goes red and I have like bald fist, and I'm glad Zimming was there to like hold me back, bro. When people were trying to like people that are not staff trying to take my badge, or people like in a fucking suit and tie at a PonyCon talking about how like I'm the lawyer and this is the rules and stuff. Fuck you. Like just cops making up reasons for this and that, like the presumption. This year was like I barely had interaction with staff. It was funny how wild it was, but ultimately like nothing happened. I don't know. It just feels dead. It feels like a ghost. And that there's no hatred, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that had a normal time. They just had a normal time in a convention. So I don't want to wish for the death of a PonyCon. There are only so many left, and I want the fandom to persist. But it just is sad to me because like this used to be one of my favorite conventions, and now it's just like, why go here? The next question on this list is like, would you go again? I mean, no, I wasn't going to go this year, and there's only really one very personal reason why I would. Well, I mean, I don't know. There's like a lot. There's so many little personal reasons why I would go. Like I have friends who live in Ohio that I only get to see every once in a while. This is an excuse to see them. Like I have other friends who I don't get to see all the time who go to Trotcon. So like I want to go to visit them, but I have no desire to go to visit for Trotcon. Like I'm going. And I mean, isn't that the reason we all go to PonyCons these days anymore? Is to visit friends. But yeah,
No, and I mean, I'm in the same camp. Like the last thing I want to see is for PonyCon to die, especially one that has such a great history with it. But if it's not even the same con, not even, they're just basically parading the name around, but it's not even the same thing anymore, then it's like, is it appropriate to kind of be like meh about it? Because I mean, last year and the year before that, once I found out that they spent, how much was it again, Corp? Like $20,000 on an online convention. How much was it?
It was a lot. I don't remember the number.
Okay, just we'll fact check that later. But they spent a lot of money on an online con, and I was not happy about that. And
Spending money on an online con.
exactly.
I mean,
But I just told people that I knew. I was like, just don't go. Just don't go to Trot. Go to Harmony instead. And they got a good time at Harmony, and then they met a lot of the MayFair, people there, and then they're going to MayFair now. So that, I guess that's just me. Like I would probably have to sit down and have a conversation with you there, but it's just when it's just being paraded around, they're basically just wearing the mask. Like, is it appropriate to say like, I don't want this to be a thing anymore? Can it just finally change to what it really is, which is kind of like just a general convention? Well, let's keep this going. We're pretty much going up to the wrapping it up, basically. Just advertisement kind of leads into that too. There was only the one thread. I think we talked about it a little bit before we got started, but there was only the one thread. And even the thread itself, I'm going to look at the numbers real quick. There were only 453 replies and 98 images. Unfortunately, I can't see how many posters there were, but I think there was about 60 something when I checked last. So that's also, not to go full doomer, but even BabsCon, there was at least 2 threads minimum, and I can only imagine how many threads are going to be for MayFair. Same thing for HarmonyCon. There's at least 2, 3 threads. So to have only one Trotcon thread, I'm like, not that happy about that either. Not necessarily happy, but just not enthusiastic. So, anyone else want to chime in on that part?
Sure, I
Oh,
mean,
go
I guess I
ahead,
can say that, like, for our /MO people, yeah, like, there wasn't that much activity and everybody was there kind of for their own reason. I don't like Thoth does a good job. He really tries with whatever. They do a good job with marketing, trying hard to like post on Twitter, and I certainly get fucking pinged all the time because I'm still in their Discord. They definitely try at doing some sort of advertising, but my impression is that Trotcon, like, they didn't pull any new people. They have the people that have gone before. I don't know. I guess except literally that Drax sponsor that we're talking about was his first con ever. So who knows? I don't know. But my impression was that most of the people that were there were like, yeah, I knew that Trotcon was going to happen. I knew where it was going to be, and I knew the dates because I've been to Trotcon so many times. And I think a lot of the people did. I don't know if they've really done a good job attracting a new audience, but I don't know. They don't have the worst advertising. Better than fucking Ciderfest and Winnie, which literally don't spin up until like a month before the convention. I don't think like how many. I guess it's still over 3 months until Ciderfest, but they like just opened their vendor applications yesterday. Like, it's insane.
Oh yeah. It's funny you bring up Winnie City, because even though I personally wouldn't go to Chicago, I do know a lot of people that go to Winnie City. And
Oh
they
my
talk
god, it's
about it.
literally Schaumburg. It's like a bougie suburb. It's not Chicago.
Well, the way they make it seem like, oh, we're so hard, we're going to Chicago. I'm just like, okay.
No. It's like it is one of the bougier like locations of con. I mean, I guess I don't know. Evergreen and Babs are in pretty bougie areas. Let's just say like in terms of like Trotcon was always the hardest location I think out of any. I mean, speak up if you disagree, but the most like poor poverty area Trotcon is in a bad area in Columbus. But like you could say what you want about BronyCon, like it was like close to a bad area, but it was on the what do they call it? The bay, the harbor. It's in the harbor. Like it doesn't take too long to walk to get outside the harbor. Nice area, but it is in a nice area. And then like, but like Trotcon, literally people are getting their catalytic converters stolen. It's a bad area.
Oh.
Everywhere else is very nice.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, but even here in Dayton, like the new Trotcon venue, it's in the nice area of Dayton, the very small nice area of Dayton, but it is in the nice area. Like, anyway, sorry, digression.
No, it's fine. I mean, anyone can chime in. Anybody. Anyone else want to say anything about that?
About Schaumburg or about like locations?
No, just anything we've been talking about. This is more open for everybody now. These questions. So anyone.
Location is very important. Well, it's important. It's maybe not the most important, but it is important. Unfortunately, it seems like it's often a trade-off.
Mm-hmm.
There's seldom like the perfect location. I don't know. I guess the one most recently everyone really liked was the FNW one last year. But a lot of locations are either super convenient, like Babs Cons and Harmony Cons last year, or they're, but often those super convenient ones are like there's not much around them because they're usually near the airport. So the other flip side is they're super. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of things around there, and those would be venues like. I'm trying to think here. Probably a lot like BronyCon's old venue down in downtown Baltimore, you know, there's tons of places nearby to eat or do other things at. Or I guess from what I'm hearing about HarmonyCon's venue this year or this next year, is going to be like that, being in downtown. And of course, the trade-off there is, you know, parking at Baltimore was a bitch, and parking at this HarmonyCon one's probably not going to be the best either. And it's not easy to get to, you know. Ubering, you could Uber to them, you know, or taxis or stuff, and pay $40 or $50. You could take like a train or, you know, mass transit and deal with that. You know, going downtown is usually not the most. It's usually an interesting ride, right? It's kind of this weird trade-off, you know, and yeah, it's tough to do. It's tough to get something that offers the best of all worlds without spending shit tons of money, which these types of cons can't do. They're not at the level of, you know, anime and some furry cons that can pull in thousands and thousands of people for the most part.
Yeah, but it's not like I would say Anime Expo being like one of the biggest anime conventions on the West Coast. It's even though it's in downtown LA, it's pretty. It gets pretty fucky there because you mix that with the most horrible traffic around Southern California, and you bring in an extra. I think it's like I don't want to like inflate the numbers that much. I'll just go on the lower end, like 5,000 extra people. It gets pretty bad. But
Yeah, it does sound like shit. I would never want to go.
no,
You know,
don't. It's
I was
anime.
I was at a venue, like I wasn't at an actual event, right? Like I was just staying at a hotel that happens to have like a really nice convention area.
Hmm.
And the venue, I fucking love it. You know, it's such a beautiful venue. It's perfect. It's got some downsides, you know, but it's okay. It's literally located inside of an airport, which the downside, of course, is parking's not going to be cheap. But convenience, you know, there's a ton of food options literally in the airport. Of course, they're not going to be cheap. But I hear the F&W venue last year, most of the food around there wasn't cheap either, especially being in like Seattle. Which, by the way, you know, something you get at McDonald's for like $5 in the rest of the U.S. and in Seattle it costs like $20. It's crazy. But it was nice because that convenience being, I was just imagining, like, could you imagine, like, just flying in for a convention and just fucking walking to your hotel in the airport?
That'd be an amazing experience. I mean, if a convention ever gets that big and they're able to kind of like, you know, in a way subsidize it a little bit, you know, with at least the parking, I think that probably would be one of the most amazing things. Because you get to, and it's not just the convention itself, but the atmosphere. You know, it's an airport. You get to see the planes. You get to see all that. So it'd be pretty fucking amazing. But I know what you're talking about too. I know exactly what you're talking about because I was there for that conversation. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Location is tough, and I think most of the cons try to make the good. Most of them have a good, you know, they understand that and they make the best choice, I think, for their audiences. You know, like BabsCon's location is really awesome. Um, I don't know. We'll see what HarmonyCon's location's like next year.
Hmm.
But I really don't know what Trotcon was thinking. Like, it really blows my mind, and I can't really get into the head of the people or person who made that decision. I'm not sure if this was a darkly executive decision or some sort of a committee decision. But it's just insane to me. I know they thought there'd be a hotel attached to it. Maybe that was part of the issue. That's something that came up, and the hotel was shut down abruptly. Even with all of that, it just seems so weird to choose Dayton as your city. You know, most of the cons are in kind of major cities and or near major cities and airports, and they can, I don't know, it's just very odd to me. The exception, of course, is Sequestria Fest, which they're kind of the same thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we kind of answered these questions for those that went there. You know, did it improve from last year? You know, the con overall, and I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but it seems like it's just meh. Slight improvement. You know, there wasn't the hall monitors there. There wasn't that weird like document going around. There wasn't this like basically like the front of like we need to keep these evil people away from the convention or whatever. So I guess that can be seen as an improvement, but it seems like the overall conversation seems it's just kind of stagnant. You know, kind of leaning on like not good, unless you want to say something else, Ike.
No, I mean,
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna draft a huge narrative around it. Like it really is just these cons are really most of them run by a few people or a small number of people, and each one is very unique to itself. And all of the problems that Trotcon has, I think, are relatively unique to Darkly and the 2 or 3 people that she, I think, keeps around her. And it's very different than the problems that like Winnie and Cyberfest have, because those are Charlie's problems, and you know, like those are completely irrelevant to the problems that Babs might still have. Like as I mean, I'm sure you know as well. Um, I don't know if I draft a narrative or there's a narrative to draft around Trotcon itself, but cons in general, I'm not so sure.
Okay. And Shade is away from the computer at the moment, but I think his answer earlier, it, it, it pretty much is, will you go again? And he said he didn't want to go to this one unless he performed there. So unless he gets another invitation, which, you know, hopefully he does, doesn't seem like he's gonna care much for it. Ike, are you gonna go there again, just based off your experience, or?
I mean, based on my, I don't know. Again,
I'm just asking.
once
I
again,
have to ask.
It's just like, there's so many like that. Trotcon was my home con, and it wasn't after last year that ended it. And now, you know, I don't know, what is my home con? Is it Babs or maybe MayFair? I'm not so sure. Honestly, HarmonyCon was great too. I had so many people welcomed me, and I literally, for the first time I've turned a profit. Like I made money coming out of HarmonyCon, like discounting travel and all that, which is wild. But I don't know. Am I gonna go to Trotcon? If I do, it won't be because of Trotcon. It'll be because of friends that I have that are going there and other reasons. It is drivable for me, so that makes it relatively convenient. And Dayton is an hour closer to me than Columbus was too. So I don't know. Something I haven't mentioned is the Waffles Mansion or whatever townhouse. He rented some big townhouse and had a bunch of vendors in it. A lot of us. It was actually really cool. And one of the more positive experiences of Trotcon this year was this big townhouse, and we cooked, like everybody volunteered. We signed up on a sheet to cook meals, and there were some very good ones. I helped prep several of them, and I got to enjoy several. Like Waffles would wake up and make us avocado toast, and they had like these little salmon, and cream cheese bagels that like were wrapped in saran wrap that people could take for lunch. And Jay and Lunar came to cook spaghetti in their MayFair aprons. Like it was like a community involved there. There's like always food and liquor and candy all around, and honestly, actual drugs that were available. Like I mean, whatever THC, that was just like available. Like it was always like a social area you could be in. There's always friends there, and it really felt cool. It was great, and it was 5 minutes walk from the convention and everywhere else, and because there's so many people, it was relatively affordable. It was really nice. And I have to say that as bad as we make the convention sound, I mean, I had a great time for a lot of reasons. I had a great time. But I would say to any Anons listening, there's not go if it's cheap or convenient, but I would not go. Like there are so many other cons that are going to be more fun, exciting, and welcoming to you. So I'd say maybe give it a pass.
Yeah, because this basically like echoes what you said earlier. Like you went to the con, but you had more fun outside the con.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think you did the thing that Pyro was planning to do, which was basically have like a event like outside the con for those that didn't want to go, like, and give them money and support them, but still wanted to go because a lot of their friends are going. So it worked out, right? This worked out, and it sounds pretty wholesome. That's epic. Like I like that how you guys all came together, common space, made food for each other. That's just honestly that's what it's all about. So some good came out of it. That's good. But kind of again going towards the end of the stuff here. Kind of spoke a little bit about it, but this is a little tinfoil hat time. If anyone, I mean this is anyone. What do you guys think about Trotcon's future? Do you guys think that they're gonna wake up finally? Because it's already been like 2 years of fuck ups, or are they still gonna? You think they're gonna go full throttle and just keep doing this? Like, the floor is yours. Whoever wants to take the mic. Not all at once.
I think mostly I don't know, kind of just go down the path of like it'll slow decline probably. I mean, next year I'll probably have like a little steeper decline than like years after, but then like it's gonna be, I think, like just exponentially, like, decrease like most cons over time. I don't think it's gonna go any like big just drop off, like, you know what I mean. It's gonna be just a slow decline probably.
Okay, that sounds fair.
They, in my opinion, because like when I left it, I was like, okay, two main things. One, drop the mask thing. Two, have that hotel connected. And then to me, that would be like a decent Trotcon. There's always still the staff and like the whole like just how they run things. But like those two things are my main things of like this is what would make it more tolerable for me.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Corp, would you like to say anything? I know you like to talk about this stuff, just Trotcon's future. Any speculation at all, or you got nothing to say?
I can't really speculate a whole lot, but I think if Darkly's still at the helm, I have a hard time seeing like a bright future. Yeah.
Okay.
Unless
Fair
unless they revert back to how they used to run things. I don't know what's changed, but obviously something's changed in the last 4 years or so.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think a lot of people look at this convention as, at least within the fandom, and from some of the stuff I used to talk to some people about, as a kind of like a case study of like what not to do. At least 2019, 2020, and then last year. But this year it seems like it was a bit more neutral. Not that bad, not that great.
2019 was fine. Handling themselves during the pandemic was probably bad. And then 2021 and 2022, very bad. This year, not great either.
Yeah.
If I could chime in for a second,
Go ahead.
I don't know Darkly at all or anything, but it sounds like they get very stressed out and they have health issues. Or I mean, I'm just wondering why don't they like hand off it to someone else just because it sounds like it takes a toll on them.
Darkly puts so much on themselves. Like, I've heard that criticism from like other people. It's like Darkly could like divvy up responsibilities to different people, but they just want to take on so much themselves that it's like honestly hurting them and the con.
Like a micromanagement sort of thing, or just like...
I don't know. I think it's like Darkly is not that. There's not business training there. There's not like this grew out of, as many cons did, a meetup group of bronies from like Facebook, and Darkly is just like a very motherly, loud and motherly figure that wanted it to succeed, and she's never gonna give it up because it's so much part of her identity, and it's like, I don't know, it's been a large part of her life and I mean, I don't source of income. I'm not so sure. I don't know. I don't know the finances there, but like it's she really just needs to. There's no reason. Like why? Why would you not just delegate? Like that's every other con does that. Just people that are able to help you. But then like who? I think the problem is that she's like, who do I trust? Other hypochondriacs that are like nervous wrecks, like Baja or Fiora, or other people with autism. Like every other person that she's hired since. I mean, Trotcon's never had the most competent staff, and they've always had to borrow from Charlie's group. But like, just a bunch of people with autism, and like, there's not. It's not a good recipe. And it was one thing when their identity was a very chill and scuffed party con. We're like, we're just gonna let attendees figure it out for themselves, and then they did, and it was great. But then that they're trying to be strict and now and like cracking down on people, like why? Like you can't be strict and scuffed. Like it's not that's a problem. So I don't know. I don't think that they're gonna change. Darkly is not the most sane person in the world. I don't think she's a bad person. I like Darkly well enough. It's just there's just an insane ant cat lady that I don't know. I almost feel bad for not trying to be a better voice of reason in their lives or whatever. Maybe if I had volunteered to actually staff Trotcon instead of like I used to staff DraftCon, back in the day, and then he like it was a real shitty chair, and then we all disbanded and that con died and blacklisted me, so I was like fuck staffing cons because I'm on a blacklist or something. So I just did parties and events outside of the rules, and that's kind of like why Trotcon was always the best for me. And then I never ended up being official staff, but if maybe I had actually done that, then I could have been a better force for good for the con. And I feel kind of like I wonder if, but I don't know. That's a real big what if.
Me personally, just hearing it, I wouldn't put that responsibility on your shoulders because it'd be you against an entire group of people that seem to not take no for an answer and aren't willing to compromise. So I would, again, I don't want to go into too much, but just put all that energy into Babs and MayFair.
Yeah, that's the thing though. It's like Babs was that too, and all it takes is the tip of the spear. Zemming staff Trot, like we could have saved it. I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. I'm not like losing sleep over it, but
Yeah.
I do wonder we might have been able to do something about it. And I don't know if I love Babs and all now. I'm invested, and there's so many good things that have come out of saving Babs, but I don't know. I do like Trot, and I'm sad it had to die. I wish they both could have lived.
It's not dead yet. It's just kind of
Well.
there. It's just kind of there. Oh man. Well,
Dead to me. Dead to me.
True. Okay, that's true. That is true. And I think for a lot of people in here as well, because no one in here I know is gonna give them money unless one Shade said unless he's invited, and then other people like you said before too, like unless you have friends going, then okay, I'll tag along. But not even the other Ohio people that I know that used to that again chilled the hell out of it. They fucking hate it now. So it's they rather go to Harmony. They rather go to what is it called? They rather go all the way to freaking the West Coast to Babs or even Everfree. And now again with the whole thing about MayFair popping up, that's going to be one of the more further East Coast cons you can go to, and it's in such a great location, close to the airport, all these things going on too. Then that might be just the thing that a lot of these people needed. So up in the air. Don't want to hype it up too much either, but I believe in it. The Mares of Stuff channel bought a sponsor badge for it, so we fully believe in what they're going to do.
Are we transitioning to that now? You got any questions about MayFair or Babs?
Just real quick, was there a MayFair presence at Trot? I know you had some people just personally, but like, did you guys have a little table?
What do you mean, like, do we intentionally advertise? Maybe a little bit, actually. Like, we didn't do cards. There weren't that many cards and advertisements out, and we definitely didn't want to fall foul of Trot. It was one of the most hostile environments for us, probably. But, like, at the Waffles, like, townhouse, our lead of public relations and, I don't know, what is Lunar? Is he lead of something? Corp?
He's the curator of the Mirror Gallery.
That's right, the curator of the Mayor Gallery, and me scheduling was there at that mansion, and we did a spaghetti dinner for everyone. And in fact, they had some really nice. I don't know if I have pictures of them, but some very nice MayFair culinary team aprons and hats. And we cooked the vendors and other people that were at that general party a spaghetti dinner, and which is good. I had a lot of vendors there coming to ask me, like, really like using me as a sounding board to rationalize trying to come to MayFair, or at least to come next year. And this is a group that is, I don't know, like pro mask and not fans of gamer words, I guess I'd say. Like, so there's. I think it was despite not advertising too hard, I think it was a positive PR front for MayFair. Not to mention all the anons that were there, like the guy who bought that Drac badge that we were able to go say hi to and like hang out with on behalf of MayFair, and like show that MayFair is run by the anons that are going to these cons that don't want this fucking bullshit, and we're doing our own thing. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be chill. It's gonna be a bunch of bros, some anons hanging out, and about mayors. And so I think that's good. I think that was such a great. That was one of my favorite moments of the con. Being able to get someone who's like, I paid all this money and I didn't realize it was gonna suck, and then being able to come and hang out with him and like try and make his day, and like just because that's what it's all about, friendship. Like it's whatever. It's like the show and stuff. Yeah, that's what it's all about.
True.
Like, and that's what MayFair is about.
True. Well, I mean, that's pretty much all I have. I mean, it's just general housekeeping stuff, but I mean, if anyone else wants to chime in, any questions, anything I probably missed or anything like that, or we're good to start wrapping it up. Okay. All right then. Well, it is, I would say, compared to the last show we did back in 2022, again, link in the description for that if you guys want to hear the differences. A bigger group went to Trotcon 2022, so that's why there was a lot more insight, a lot more of that. And as you can tell, compared to that, if you guys decide to watch that, or you could just compare the two shows and realize like how many people just dropped out just within this group alone. So I can imagine that's why the whole number thing I don't really fully agree with. But other than that, though, yeah. It looks like people are gonna start going more to HarmonyCon. People are gonna go more to other places, MayFair included, as well as just even BabsCon. So good luck to you guys at BabsCon. Because again, I was a con that's close. That's the closest con to me, but I haven't gone or even wanted to go because of the funny BS that comes along with the convention. But if that's gone and that's being put away, and instead you guys are going to focus more on MLP, then by all I will go.
Look, yeah, I don't know what other to say than there's an enormous overlap now, and I know this is all a recent development, but like, and look, it's San Francisco, all right. There's a lot of fun flag people there. The board is still the board, but I think even they we made a convincing case by saving the convention. I think we have a lot of room to say, let's just focus on the ponies and have a good time and not worry. And I don't think you're going to have to worry about much if you come to Babs. We haven't, I mean, it's a long way away. We haven't started a whole lot of the planning, but, there's really nothing to worry about. I think, I would say, Anons, please feel free. Come to MayFair, and then meet me there. And then if you liked MayFair, I'd say consider coming to Babs, because I think it'll be fun. It'll be good.
Yeah, and this could be a wake-up call. This could lead. I mean, not to overhype it, but this could be the renaissance. If you can successfully run MayFair, and then that leads into more success for Babs, then maybe the people at Trot might hear your side. I'm hoping. As much as I don't like what they did, I still don't really want them to die either, but if it's necessary, then it might just have to happen. But if MayFair is successful, which we talked about earlier, it looks like it's going to be, no problems. And then if you're part of that staff along with Zemming and some other people, then this is just good. This is good.
Yeah, I don't know. As much as I like Darkly, I don't think she's easy to convince. So I have a better chance of convincing Charlie to who
back.
I'm gonna do the whatever. What is the shaving on your finger boo to for giving shit? I mean not shit, but dismissing out of hand MayFair at one of the panels he was talking at Winnie. I think that if he knew who was actually involved and he had talked to us, he wouldn't have that opinion. But Charlie's on Twitter, I think that's where he gets a lot of his impressions. So I'm hopeful. I don't know if I'll ever convince Darkly. She's probably the last person I'll ever succeed at convincing. But who knows? I think there's a good chance of convincing a lot of the other cons to just chill out. We're a shrinking fandom. I will always I love the concept of MayFair. I want it to be special. I probably want it to be more wild and of our kind than even Corp does. But at the end of the day, I also want all the cons to succeed. We're a shrinking fandom. I want them to all be, I wish we could all be friends again. I missed 2014.
Yeah, I'll drink to that. Well, I mean, besides you, anyone else? I know we have 2 people that are assisting with MayFair. Do you guys want to give your just a quick little, advertisement real quick, or you guys are good? Just you guys will let the con speak for itself.
Well, we don't need to show, bro.
Hey, it's all good.
Come to MayFair because it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be comfy.
Okay.
Oh, we got our concert lining up, and it looks pretty sweet too.
Okay. All right.
We got some people who haven't performed, who've been making music since 2011, 2012, but they've only done 1 performance ever at a con.
Mm-hmm.
We got some people who are kind of becoming a lot more kind of newer on the music scene, who've been doing some of that AI music. They've also never performed. They're going to be there doing some AI pony shit. We got a lot of cool musicians who are pretty well known. A lot who maybe aren't as well known. So I'm really excited for that, and I'm not usually excited for concert lineups and shit. And we also got a lot of cool vendors and stuff. Some people who've never vended again, like AZG Chip, who sells the big life-size plushies. He's going to be there with a bunch of Anon Phillies and some other plushies to sell. So, it's going to be stuff that you might not see at other pony conventions. And you're going to meet some new friends. I think you're gonna meet some new friends. You're gonna make some friends. And when you go down to the vendor hall, you can maybe shoot. You're gonna shoot some wads. Some wads of cash. Just gonna be shooting them wads of cash. Just all over the place, man. I guarantee it, man. So yeah, come on.
Loads of money.
Big loads of money, huh? Well, this hopefully this video will be up, like I said, in the next 2 to 3 days max. I want to get this out as soon as I possibly can because some people wanted to hear this. But since some of the MayFair staff's here, I might as well just ask this question now. Do you guys have the time to have a little sit and chat, talk about just the con in general and what we expect and all that kind of stuff? Or do you guys just want to keep that on the board?
Maybe later?
Yeah,
guys and everything?
I mean, not right now, of course. We've been here for like the past 2 hours, and it's Sunday. People got to work. But I'm saying like in the future, maybe like in 2 weeks or so, do you guys, along with some other staff members or anything like that, want to just sit down and kind of basically give us a little bit of an insight, kind of like why'd you guys do it? Why'd you guys take up the mantle? Just some little bit of insight what's going on in the background, and then also too just like a little bit of teaser stuff like, hey, this person's going to be kind of like what Corp just did. This person's going to be here. You're going to expect this. You're going to expect that. Like, you guys want to do that, or do you guys just want to keep it on the thread, and like for the people that want to like find it, they have to go and look for it? Like, would you guys be up for that? Open to that?
I personally think it's probably a good idea. We can ask our PR guy.
Oh yeah, I love to have him there.
But yeah.
I'm up for it. If you think it's a good idea, I'll defer to you, Corp. I could have done it, I suppose, before all the panel apps closed, but we still have plenty and sponsor.
Oh yeah, and if you're listening to this, you have 27 minutes, and I know we're probably not even live streaming. So
no, we're not live streaming. We're not. Unfortunately, we're not. The most I can do for you right now, since unfortunately we rest in peace to /MLP YouTube channel. I'll do a community post for you. I'll even do it right now. I'll say you have how much time? You have
26 minutes.
26 minutes to purchase the MayFair
sponsor badge.
Yep.
A sponsor badge, or to sign up for a panel.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
I don't know. Are you really gonna make me close it? Like, I will flag anybody who like submits a panel after today, as I don't have to actually, like I can deny them
No,
of my free will, but
they're gonna be like closed, like finger quotes.
oh my. Okay, well, whatever.
You need a
we
deadline,
have.
right? You need a deadline.
Well, yeah, you need to get people to get off their asses and submit a panel, but like, I don't know. It's like, I wish if somebody has a good idea, I don't want to turn it down. However, like, we already have as many panels as like were submitted to BabsCon, and we have half of the space, so we have so much stuff. We really. I mean, I don't know. I
was looking through those apps too. There's some really interesting things too there.
Oh yeah. I got them all. Well, I mean, that was a couple days ago in a spreadsheet. There's so many more now. I'll need to this next week. We'll have to sit down and make those decisions.
I think that's what's going to make MayFair. If I want to, I've been trying not to suck MayFair's dick as much. If you notice, I wasn't even talking about them when I talked about venue choice and stuff. But I think some of the unique things we got going on is going to make it really more interesting. It's going to make it different. It's not going to be like your father's pony convention. It's going to be a different pony con. I guarantee it. You're going to have a good time. So, just buy your badge and come on down to Orlando.
If you're like an Anon listening to this, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, of course you're not gonna come to the Anon PonyCon. This is of the board. This is like, come on. This is as big as like the last BronyCon for us. I feel like, come on. Of course, if you're still fucking posting, or I guess I use that word. I guess that's not even a mad word anymore. Like, if you're posting on the board, you should be trying to come, to this con. Come on.
Look, I will say this. These people here listened to that thread that was posted right after Trot about if you guys had your dream convention where things that you want to see are going to be there, please post them in this thread. And they listened because I was there hearing those conversations.
I think one of us was the OP of that thread.
I think I know who it is, but I'm not going to say their name.
I don't know what to say. Like, you don't like. This is we've somehow gathered all of the most. Anons permeate this fandom, right? Like, this started here on the board. It started with us ship posters, and like, there's so many of us around, and somehow all of these years, all of the experience that we've done in our own individual worlds, all came together, and MayFair literally has per capita probably the most experienced and competent staff I've ever seen at a pony convention. I mean, Zemming has even more experience than me, but would you would you dispute that, Zemming? Per capita, some of the I mean, it's not perfect, but my goodness, I don't know. I feel like I've had to do very little work for this convention. Everything seems to be falling in place.
I have been impressed by the level of professionalism I've seen with getting things organized. I do think, like, hey, as a new con, like, obviously there's a lot of stuff that, you know, you work conventions long enough, you're like, oh, of course you do that. And it's like, it's good that they're challenging assumptions, but sometimes when we're in like a 3 hour meeting over the most banal stuff, it's like, sweet Jesus, guys, let's just move forward. But it is good they're having those conversations and they're not making assumptions on how things are supposed to be done, because that's kind of what got other conventions to where they are now, versus kind of returning back to what conventions are supposed to be. They're supposed to be about ponies. It's supposed to be about the community. Let's focus on that. So I have been impressed. I am very optimistic for MayFair, and I'm definitely looking forward to it myself.
Hell yeah. Well, like I said, I made that post, and hopefully the 143 subscribers that we have on that channel, hopefully 1 or 2 people wake the fuck up and buy their sponsor badge or put in their panel app. But yeah, if you guys are up for it, I'm down to talk to you guys more about it. Just set up a date and get some questions, see what we can talk about, can't talk about, and we'll move forward from there. Is that all right? Not all at once. Not all
All
at
good
once.
with me. I'm deferring to Corp. He's in charge.
I'm not in charge, but yeah.
Oh
that's
my
cool.
god.
Yeah.
You know the guy in charge, Stucky. He's a mutual friend. You know who he is.
Yeah. I'll ask, and let's see how they react to that question. Okay. Well then, if that's all we're gonna talk about the Trotcon, looking back at it, then I think we could just wrap it up. I really appreciate all of you guys making the time to come and talk to me and answer some questions and whatnot. So I really appreciate that. Once again, really appreciate the Pepperonis, Ponies, and Pizza channel for allowing us to use their channel as an archive. And you'll see this video on the Mares and Stuff channel. If there's another channel, I don't think there is, then we'll put it there too. But people wanted to hear about this. People wanted to know, because again, not a lot of people went to TrotCon from our inner circles, so they just wanted to hear these experiences and stuff like that. So thank you all for joining me. Any last words? Anybody at all? Anybody?
It's been fun. Thanks for having me.
Mares.
Thank you. No, thank you. Thank you all for making the time. Anyways, go to MayFair. It's open. Go. The thread's there. Go. Have fun. This has been your host, Egg Sunny Side Up, and I'll see you all in the next one.